Hey guys, welcome to the Talk and Roll Express episode 18, Unforgiven 2006. Unforgiven was a professional wrestling pay-per-view event produced by World Wrestling Entertainment WWE, which took place on September 17, 2006, at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It was the 9th annual Unforgiven event. The show's 7 matches showcased prominent WWE wrestlers who acted out the franchise's stories in and out of the ring. The event starred talent from the Raw brand division.
Right, guys. Initial impressions of this pay-per-view.
Well, first of all, I'm delighted that Cameron is back with us and his dogs have been released from the enclosed pool area. This is a pay-per-view where you're going to lose me for an hour, because I remember having this on DVD and wearing the DVD through to the other side watching it. So this was not literally. You're looking quite shocked. That didn't actually happen. This is a work. It was a simple work. So yeah, it's. I haven't got much negative to say about it overall, but I'm sure we'll find something.
There's going to be there's going to be some serious styles clash between you and Cameron.
We're going to find something to rip apart, sure enough. But compared to what we've watched before, no, this was a fond childhood memory, quite literally.
All right. Go ahead, Cameron.
This was, for me, because I also had this on DVD and also wore it through. For me, this was the equivalent of, having a fond memory of Peter Pan taking me to Netherland and finding out it was my creepy uncle. It's a horrible case of nostalgia wherein I just, a complete bucket of water has been thrown over my head, and I just looked very disappointedly at past me going, what the hell, son? What have you been up to? Come on now. I just wish I had someone to show me, some responsible adult to take me aside, give me a good slap and say, this is the wrong thing to be getting into, pal. I really, really, really struggled with this. I told Lewis before we started recording, there wasn't an ounce of feckin' wrestling in this whatsoever. To the point where it got to the Spirit Squad match, and when they locked up at first, I was like, oh, here we go, and I never thought I'd be saying that.
There we go. Yeah, there's the negative point.
We'll see. I feel like there's going to be some, confrontation, certainly.
Listen, ding ding, we've got a very, very staunch supporter of Unforgiven 2006, and we've got a very big detractor of Unforgiven 2006. I'm sort of a 2.5, 3-star guy with this, so I'm going to sit in the middle and just basically referee used to stiffing one another for the next hour.
Idiot.
I think it's quite interesting you both had the DVD as a children. My first WWE DVD was Armageddon 2006. So you guys got the Highlanders versus the Spirit Squad, and I got Undertaker versus Mr. Kennedy in a last ride match. So who was the real winner here?
I remember having in Backlash 2006 or 7 as well. That was good.
I think one thing, because we were also discussing this, one thing that needs to be said, regardless of my crush nostalgia, is that 2006, pre-Benoit, let's call it, all right, or pre-who shall not be named era, the Fed were red hot. Like, we were filling their pockets with DVD money. I had the magazine. Lewis had this magazine.
Oh, yeah.
And,
you had to get the magazine.
Yeah. Like, they must have been pulling in bank, because I certainly had easily the most of. I mean, to be fair, I don't have a lot of memories of SmackDown over that year, other than my boy Fit Finlay being there, but I was too young to appreciate him, a bit before my time there. But God, man, the product was red hot, regardless of my present feelings towards this show. In particular, I'm struggling to remember the rest of the year, to be honest with you. I know I had the John Cena top, the Bulldog.
The Chain Gang Thugonomics. Was that
No. I had the one he was wearing show, like the Bulldog with the helmet, and I loved it, man. I loved it. I was so up for whatever the heck was going on in this, So
it was a good time to be a mark. It was a very good time to be a mark. Just on that, like 2005 to 7 SmackDown, it was very much the B show, but you'd have some insanely good matches on it. So I think, Undertaker was like the top guy for a while. Obviously, you did have Fit Finlay, you had Rey
King
Mysterio, you had King Booker, Batista, Chavo Guerrero. Because I remember as well. The fact is that I've like completely burnt most of the mid 2000s WWE product, despite being very charitable towards it. I do remember Mysterio and Guerrero having a very good I Quit match, and the build up to it as well was actually really good. It was one of those where kayfabe had gone, but you still had that suspension of reality, and the build up to it was very good, because I think it was the Guerrero's been like to Mysterio, you're just trying to profit off Eddie's legacy and everything, and there was that real angle to it, and the I Quit angle and everything as well. So Mysterio, I think he'd done his ACL before this, and the way they put him out with him being smacked with the chair on the knee, again made it very believable, because after that it said he'd gone for ACL surgery.
I think what we're witnessing here is essentially earlier in the 2000s, you had the SmackDown 5. SmackDown was a red hot product. Not too long ago even, but obviously you can see a lot of that core group having been dispersed at this point. And basically cherry picked, I'll take this bit and this bit and this bit, and I'm going to throw it onto Raw to boost their ratings. So which there's no doubt as to why predominantly, at least my memory, goes back to Raw, and why SmackDown was just an afterthought. It's because they made it that to be the case.
Yeah, pretty much. It was very much a B show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was more or less a holding pen for more Raw focused talents. But I mean, you brought people like Bobby Lashley up through it as well.
Was he? Yeah, because I mean, at which point was he in ECW?
That was post SmackDown, so that was like late 2006, early 2007.
Yeah, he's just about to make the jump and get a push. Because I mean, I remember even at this age, because at this point, my entire knowledge of ECW consisted of like kind of like the lore of it, and the not so much the mystique, but just like the wow kind of this different product and blah blah blah. And even as a young man, a young Mark, let's say, the concept of Big Fat Big Show, as I'm going to call him throughout this show, because the man was huge at this point.
He is gutty.
Half a ton. Remember the weight that McMahon told Yokozuna to take a hike, yet here he's pushing him to the top of the cards. You know what I mean? Big Fat Big Show didn't even click back then, kind of thing.
I think we should just get into the matches. First of all, we have Johnny Nitro versus Jeff Hardy for the IC strap. Now, I know, I just want to prefix this by saying we've talked a lot about, missed opportunities in the Fed, guys like Ken Shamrock, guys like, Steve Blackman, Mark Merrill, guys like Ollie. But getting into Johnny, yes, Dan Severn too. But Johnny Nitro, my God, he looks like $1 million during this. Nitro was over.
I think as well the gimmick, they fucked the gimmick as well. When watching this match as well, looking back, I didn't like him because of the gimmick. Because I mean, he did the gimmick well, that you thought he was a complete shithead. But watching back, I was like, man, this guy was legit. This guy was proper, and I think if I remember rightly, he did get the ECW title, but I think that might have even been a schmoz finish where he got it, but he never really.
He went back and forth with Punk, I think.
He was more or less stalled at the mid card, and then he came back as John Morrison or something. He just never. My first thought watching this match was they should have done a lot more with him.
I think he, as a talent, is just brilliant. And even the gimmick in itself, there's something to it. But I feel like it's missing that little bit of. I don't know if it's. I would need to go back and watch more if that's on him. Like, I don't know what he was like as a talker at this point. But I feel like it's just missing that wee bit of spice. I struggle to take him seriously as although physically a hell of an athlete, I didn't look at him and go, that guy's going to beat up that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it was the syrupiness, if that makes sense, the syrupiness of the character. It was
a bit more machismo would have done this character.
It was a
bit
case
good.
of because he was like a Johnny Bravo type character, just the overly macho thing, but it was more. This guy's a total dickhead, not this guy is the best in the world. He thinks he's the best in the world, but then he goes in the ring and he...
Should have been a bit more Rick Rude, a little less Hollywood douchebag.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
can I just say, in regards to this match, to kind of try and keep on par, despite the fact, I actually, out of the two men in this ring right now, again, my memory is going to fail me, but I'm pretty sure Jeff Hardy hasn't been, is just not long back in the fold as far as this date goes.
Jim Ross very slyly announces that he's been other places.
Yeah.
Shall remain unnamed.
Yeah. Well, so he's pretty, and I mean, he's so over already. Like, I remember him coming back in my memory, like, as a chip, never had a good memory. I can remember him coming back in 2006 and then people losing their minds. And and then you would read the magazine and then you would, for some reason, you wouldn't think, again, because young Mark, I wouldn't read that and then go, this is someone trying to sell me this person. I read that and go, this is this guy's opinion on this we mutually looking at this product right now. It just like the second he came back, it was like, the Messiah's coming almost. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, he was so out of shape here. In my opinion, the only good thing he had in this match was numerous bumps. That's his gimmick. I get it. He's a ragdoll. There's some tremendous bumps in this alone, but he looks, especially when you put him next to Nitro. Yeah. He just looks so out of shape here, and it went on far too long considering, like, I would rather they had a shorter, more explosive bout than what we got here.
It's 17 minutes, 36 seconds, this match went on for.
What's that all about? You know what I mean? It's the start of it. It's the
Plus,
start.
I just want to mention the kind of the psychology of the match. The match mostly consists of Nitro working Hardy's legs, which I was initially a bit confused, but I get the thing they're trying to tell, which is keep Hardy, ground level, so he can't, go and do all these flips. But it comes across like, Nitro's trying to take down the 7 foot tall Jeff Hardy. Like, it's big man match style psychology. Like, it didn't feel mano-a-mano.
I would actually, maybe not as a young Mark, but see, watching this now, I would rather they admitted he was out of shape. I would rather they went, okay, this boy's been away for a while, he's about out of shape, and look at Nitro, look how fit he is, because he looked great. I would rather they just did that, and it's like...
and then positive.
Yeah, because that's what real fights are like. So-and-so's not had a long camp, he took the fight unexpectedly, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and it would be more believable, because, it would literally feel like they're doing the light guy thing where, he's starting, and the heel stops him. But the thing is that Hardy's style is so clumsy and he was so sluggish and out of shape here that it would kind of be like a drunk standing up and then someone just goes, sit back down. You know what I mean? It didn't look as good as it should have, and it's a shame because we know what he's capable of, but he's just not in that total ring shape yet kind of thing. And I feel like they should have just said, he's back, but he's been out a while, bit of ring rust, so if he's going to have to try and finish this quickly, or I don't know why so many Johnnies, I almost say Gargano there, or Nitro is going to be able to capitalize on that tiredness. Like, something like that would have been far more effective than pretending he's something he's not, which was in shape, because I struggled when someone's given a platform like the WWE to not bring your A game when it's a platform that so many people lust for, takes so many steroids, runs so much cardio, lifts so many weights. Allegedly.
Disclaimer up there.
But for people to just kill themselves physically, and for you to be given a spot and to show up wearing a fucking tank top because your beer belly's just about popping out, it's disgusting to me personally. It's ridiculous.
At the same time, it's sport. It is sports entertainment, and there are a range of characters and people in there. But at the same time, you are an athlete. You are going to work, and a requirement for your job as a WWE wrestler is to be in the required physical shape to perform your match. And I think, looking back on the time of this match as well, I also think the Nitro character could have played into a schmoz finish where obviously the heel plays some dirty tactics to get the win. You could have had a couple of Jeff Hardy spots to get the crowd fired up.
Yeah.
You could have been done and dusted in 6-7 minutes. Johnny Nitro's a bit of a dick about it. He keeps the belt and that's it, you know.
Sorry.
So I was just going to say, I find something deeply sort of almost kind of paradoxical with the fact that the heel can do a better corkscrew than the babyface.
Yeah.
Like Johnny Nitro's corkscrews, they're like silk. They are some of the smoothest things I have ever seen inside a squared circle.
I can't blame them, because clearly what's happened is they've went, on paper, what a fucking matchup. And I'm pretty sure at some point these two get together and have an amazing match. But someone's looked at it and went, on paper, this is fantastic. But then they've not actually said, Jeff, have you been on a treadmill recently? And at which point, that's not their job to do that. So I completely get it. And not only that, I think, again, I'm going to chalk up the time of this match being that I'm pretty sure this is the first major showing of Jeff Hardy since he's returned. Like, he's maybe done a match before. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure the timing's that soon wherein he's maybe not been in, like, a long format match up until this point. So maybe it's pay-per-view, we're making people pay for it, let's give them a good Jeff Hardy match, because they're clearly gagging for it. But Jeff Hardy is the one that drops the ball here.
I think that's right. And to link it to football as well, when you've got a player coming back from like a long time injury, or they've just not been playing, you don't put them into a full 90 minutes.
No.
As well, you're building up, you give them like 15 minutes here and there. And I think that's what you should have done, again, what you should have done here. And I think you're right down the line, either as a good singles program with Nitro, and I also remember that he teamed up with Matt Hardy, and it was the Hardy Boys against Johnny Nitro. I can't remember the other guy.
Joey Morrison? Was it Joey Morrison? Was it? No, it wasn't.
Joey Mercury.
Joey Mercury, that was it. Yeah, it was Joey Mercury.
See,
by all accounts, a nice guy, and we can't remember his fucking name.
The highlight of getting his career was his nose got destroyed by Jeff
his nose got like ripped off by like Matt Hardy. No, you've completely fucking scunnered me here, because I'm going to be like, well, Johnny Nitro, I think he was called Joey Thunder to make a WWE joke, and you've just completely fucked me up here. But on that point, I'm pretty sure during the commentary, JR said, Johnny, don't call me Monday Nitro. Which I think in 2006, to make a WCW reference.
You talk about Jim Ross's commentary. I think I'm almost positive, 100%. There's a spot in this where Melina gets knocked on her back, and Jim Ross drops the commentary line. I can tell she spent a lot of time on her back.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim.
This was a rough night for the commentary team, by the way. Oh shit.
I mean, to be honest, with the King's commentary, JR looked like a English country gentleman. Let's be honest here. Like, I've again,
howdy.
Despite the fact that we've watched many WWF pay-per-views with Lawler on commentary, this is the first time I've heard a man have a wank on pay-per-view.
Oh my God, we've just covered Nitro versus Hard to Death, haven't we? Right, let's cleanse the palate. Let's move on to Kane versus Umaga. Now, I just want to say this first of all. Like, the idea of the kind of the big monster match is always looked great on paper. You know, Goldberg versus Lesnar, or, you know, Khali versus Big Show. Like, it's always conceptually, you know, it's Godzilla versus King Kong. It's the two big things going at it. But then you realise just how limited you are with the monster match. Like, they can't do grappling, they can't do catch as catch can. They can't do high spots, because then that takes away from the cruiserweight. So all you're left with is brawling.
How do you think I felt walking into this, knowing that the Kane gimmick is that if he does his pyro at the start, he's losing, And then at which point we've got two guys that just sort of throw limbs at each other. I switched off completely. Not the television, but by God, I wasn't there mentally for this. In fact, I would hazard to say, I don't know how you guys feel about Kane.
I like Kane.
Is there a match you can think of where you go, once this is finished, I'm going to go watch this now?
That's the absolute thing. I think, like, with you and this, Kane is a nostalgia piece for me. And I think if you relate it to his brother, The Undertaker,
allegedly,
allegedly, you can go back and you can just watch an absolute buffet of 5-star Taker matches.
Yeah,
I probably couldn't name a Kane match, never mind a 5-star Kane match. He probably fought Triple H on pay-per-view. He's fought The Undertaker on pay-per-view.
I think he's fought for the love or the ownership of Lita, one or the two. It depends on your terminology.
Snitsky or something. You could tell me that Kane fought like Judy Bagwell, and I'd believe you.
Well, according to Thomas, he had an absolute burner with A-Train on an episode of Sunday Night Heat one time. So, we don't know. Honestly,
he's not here. Thomas's dogs are in the enclosed pool area. He's not a player in this.
Yeah. Again, it's like this is the point where they're still trying to build up Umaga as well, so they don't even have a proper finish. They have a double count out, which really, admittedly, doesn't do anything for either guy if we're really getting into it.
I thought Estrada was over, by the way.
God, they dropped him, didn't? To be honest, what a manager! We should have got more of him, like the breaking of the cigar for the Samoan Spike.
Oh yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, man, and like there was signs for him. Again, don't know if they're planted, but the crowd with the intro were on it, and to the point where he, like, when he does the intro, I was watching it, thinking, I was like, he's standing in the middle of the ring, and Umaga's non-verbal. Yeah. So like, who am I actually rooting for here? Because I could give a toss about Umaga, but this guy,
I was trying to connect the dots why they had the man with the Cuban gimmick managing the man with the Samoan gimmick.
I didn't question it when I was younger, but now, upon hindsight, bit weird.
Uh-huh.
I just think it's the classic WWE. These are two foreign guys. They're just from the same country. There is the United States of America, and then there is the abroad. That is all there is. It doesn't matter that the big Samoan monster has a stereotypical Cuban manager. They are foreign. And they're just from the same country. They're not American.
I forgot they had the rocket strapped to Umaga's back all the way up to Mania 23, and then they promptly sort of forgot about him afterwards. That was a real shame. I think this guy could have done business.
I was thinking about this before the pay-per-view, and I think about it periodically because I'm obviously a very interesting and busy man. I think Umaga was legit. I did enjoy watching Umaga. I think they just could have done more with him, and maybe not have the gimmick he had, because he just felt a bit. Again, he felt a bit lazy.
He's non-verbal, doesn't do a single wrestling hold. Like, in terms
of, but I can understand why for his character.
In terms of Harley Race's example of a future star, he literally has sweet fuck all. He can't talk, can't wrestle.
No. Look at that Titantron. You watch that Titantron, you know you're not going to get Dean Malenko. You go along with it. You just embrace it. He's a big man. A lot of thumbs, lot of thumbs in the necks, and that's it.
It feels like they could have done more with the big man gimmick. They were trying to build him up in a Goldberg style streak, and then
he's like 5'2".
Exactly.
Oh. None of this. Are you sure he's
5'2", or were you just watching him stand next to Kane, who's like 8'10"?
Lewis, can you give us a quick Wikipedia search while me and Ollie kind of grapple in this?
I do not know what height Umaga is. I'm going to say 6'3" or something like that. Let's just preface it. He probably is. Kane's 6'10", so everyone else just looks diminutive in comparison.
It's worth noting that the greatest wrestler that ever lived, William Regal, called him Umanga as well. This has no relevance.
Umanga.
He's 6'4".
Give me the shooter, oh manga.
So
6'4".
yeah, so me and Umaga are the same height. Well, yeah, yeah.
159 kilograms. That's crazy.
Yeah, to be honest, at least that Umaga is the same height as me, but he actually weighs more. This is actually quite relieving to find a man who weighs more than me.
To be fair, I'd hardly call him
however,
match fit.
bought a weight bench, so we're gonna get fucking stacked, boys.
Are we gonna get stacked together? Are we?
Yeah, we're all gonna come round mine, and we're all gonna get like montage fit, and then we're gonna like just go wrestling.
Eat our vitamins and say our prayers, and hopefully one day we'll have the pythons to be able to have an opinion on any of this.
Yes.
I'm down with this, Ollie. Me and you, WrestleMania 52, or however long it takes us to actually stick to this.
We're gonna kick the fuck out of 102-year-old Vince McMahon.
I don't know. All the babies you'll have eaten by that point surely would have led to some major physical changes.
He'll be like 102, and he'll still be insisting we put him through the announce table.
This is how you do it, damn it!
I have no interest in talking about Spirit Squad versus Highlanders. The only thing I found worthy of note was that when the Highlanders were coming to the ring, I thought, now hold on a minute, are these two American guys that they've gimmicked up? Are they either going to be from Glasgow or Edinburgh? But they were from Open, so that was how I knew that they were really Scottish. Because we both know none of the researchers at WWE are pointing around a map of Scotland. Open.
Yeah,
Open.
so I also like the fact that this was a foreign gimmick character, and they were called the Highlanders. And I was expecting be from like Edinburgh, Scotland. No, they were from the actual fucking Highlands. So I was like, yeah, this is good, man.
Right, I know they didn't take any influence from the Christopher Lambert movie, but there's a certain irony in naming a tag team after a movie where the tagline is "There can be only one."
Might as well have been in this fucking match. I mean, to be honest, it was just one of those. It's just as soon as like 5 guys come out for a tag team match and there's only 2 others, then what the fuck are you expecting? You expecting the 2 guys to win?
I can remember them having some. I mean, I wasn't go away heat. It was heelish heat that I had for them back in the day, and I quite enjoyed the integration of them. They would sometimes bring out the trampoline and do like
that was pretty.
Yeah, sick. You know, it's a great way of getting a few guys that I don't know how much any of them deserve being on the main roster kind of thing. I don't know enough about them apart from our future Shawn Michaels wannabe. But like he was talented, so I assumed the rest of them must have had a shred of talent. Kind of thing. Yeah. Unfortunately, because there's so many of them, they didn't have a great platform to display that sort of thing, other than the fact that they were clearly very athletic.
It's like that they just signed 5 wrestlers and they were like, fuck. What do we do now? Do we make them wrestle? Do we try it? Now let's just put them all together. Let's make them cheerleaders, and everyone's just going to hate them for that reason.
I'd be interested in what someone else had to say on this, but this is my last memory of the Highlanders. Like, I remember them bumping into Rowdy Roddy Piper at Madison Square Garden, which was the Raw before this, and then I can't remember a thing after that.
I read up on it because, again, I didn't remember anything of them. I remember them. I remember the Highlanders. They just became, like, mid-show Raw appearances. I think one of them was spotted at a TNA event the day before Mania, and after that it was going downhill for them.
They'd done that thing where they pretended they'd done it on purpose, apparently, and blah blah blah. Yeah, I read that too. I would say it's a shame, but if they didn't enjoy being there, then so be it. It was never as if they were going to get pushed to the moon doing the Samoan gimmick in kilts.
I mean, I'll just lump them in with like people like fucking Cade and Murdoch and.
Cade and Murdoch were not that bad.
But again, they were never going anywhere.
No, they were never. No.
It was like, Cade and Murdoch, Crime Time. What was it, La Resistance?
Crime Time were pretty damn over.
They were like really over, but no one really wanted to push them.
Yeah,
I don't mean that they were like shit or anything. I just mean that they were always gonna just live in the purgatory of the mid card.
I think they were unfortunately the only over tag team at one point. Like I can pretty much remember that there was like a New Day vibe wherein they were the only tag team in the entire landscape, and because I remember them getting involved in like other storylines as comedic kind of background people just because they had fuck all else for them to do, which is a shame.
I think, definitely Raw. As regards to SmackDown, you had who was it, London and Kendrick, who were the tag team at the time. They were amazing.
I'm pretty sure I had two stick insects called London and Kendrick.
Were you bullied at school, Ollie?
I was really badly bullied at school.
This is just so cathartic.
This is like therapy. Like,
let's have it out, man. Let's have it out.
Let's do a big virtual hug.
When did I get those stick insects? So it would have been like 2006. So.
You know, I would like to continue this trend of good vibes only, positive vibes only, by discussing DX versus the McMahons and Big Show. Now, this is the real main event. Let's not kid ourselves. Please discuss ad nauseum. I just want to sit back and listen.
I am going to hit you all with a hot take here.
You loved this, didn't you?
I fucking loved it. But again, like recently, I've just been suggested the stupidest videos on YouTube that have flatulence in them. So this is very much my intellectual level. However, let's get intellectual. And I'd say actually this run of DX was better than the original run of DX.
Controversial.
My goodness.
Looking back on it, the original DX, they were trying to be grungy, anti-establishment figures, and it didn't look on reflection. It didn't really like work. It just more felt like a teenager in his bedroom being like, "Fuck off, Vince. You're not my real dad."
You know, they didn't actually really do anything that naughty. Now you mention it, before like Michaels and Rude left.
What the fuck? DX didn't really work. Oliver Butler 2020.
No, DX. I think DX2 worked better because it was more cartoony. And I think again Hunter and Sean were more over in the company, so they could probably have more swing with Vince to the extent of where they, pulled the axle off his limo. They like spray painted his.
Can I caveat that by saying I believe it's more that they are older and more open-minded to trying things.
Yeah.
Which is probably what led to a lot of what you saw, as opposed to 90s. Well, this is actually my Kangol hat is worn backwards right now, leather. I'm pretty cool, so I'm not going to throw poo all over you. It's that type of thing.
Yeah.
In my opinion, personally, because this is vintage Vince McMahon. This has been his humor since the Stone Age. So I have no doubt that if he could have had poo thrown all over him in the 90s, he would have done it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, they thought they were too cool for it. But this is more like, Sean and Hunter are just getting in that mean old Mr. McMahon's craw.
I just wanted to say, like, the gimmick, like Hell in a Cell, something about this feels very, very, fuck it, a cage.
It's surreal. It's funny. It's like, DX have been throwing poo on people and hijacking a £30 million plane and pooing on it, and they're doing a barbecue, and the joke is that there's loads of sausages, and sausages are penises, and it's just really funny. And then it's a case of we're going to take you on in the bloodiest match possible.
Yeah, like they 180'd within the space of a week and go, thank you for reminding us who we are. And then all of a sudden they're serious.
Because, again, my memory to this is shot, but I'm pretty sure the last time Triple H and Shawn Michaels were in a Hell in a Cell, it was Bad Blood 2004, and they had an absolute stormer of a match that was like 2 years long, and they were both like just both like strawberry red at the end of it, and now they're like taking on Mr. McMahon, his son, and some big guy who they end up shoving this billionaire's head up his ass at the end of it. I just want to
say, like, with the parameters to which Big Show's tights were, there was no way like Vince's chin didn't touch Big Show's taint. Like, there was no way.
I am going to put a huge allegedly here. It would be so funny and exactly Vince's humour if he'd like licked the Big Show's balls or something.
I thought you were going to say like there was a dingleberry on his nose or something.
Maybe, I don't know. He must have had a really good shower beforehand. But when you're like a big guy and you've been sweating for like half an hour, man, it's not going to be good in there.
I just want to point out, if we were to step outside this situation right now and listen to what we're saying, you could maybe empathise with just how not into this I was. There was,
Fair enough, man. You want to see like Dean Douglas and Dan Severn just wrestling for 2 hours and shaking hands at the end of it. Some of us just want to see a couple of guys in their 40s eat a banana and pretend it's a penis, then shove a very rich man's head up a big guy's ass. Like, some of us don't.
He wasn't just the big show. He was the biggest show.
He was the whole fucking show.
I felt so bad for the guy. Like, he looked uncomfortable in his own skin.
His eyes are maroon. Like,
yeah.
I've never seen Big Show's eyes just sunk in his head.
I felt
in the snow.
Oh, genuinely bad for the guy. Like,
yeah.
Right. So I'm 6 foot tall, and I weighed 21 British stone at one point.
We stand a short king.
And
man couldn't wait to put his height on the timeline, could he?
Yeah. I'm basically humble bragging right now. I'm now down to 14 stone. But what can I just say, by the way, 6 foot at 21 stone, I felt like my body shouldn't have been able to operate at that weight and height proportion. Like, I couldn't run, worrying my knees would just fucking buckle. And I'm sitting looking at that guy waddle down to the ring, and my heart was bleeding for him, because he's spoken quite passionately more recently about how he feels about his weight and gigantism, and I think that's a horrible way to say it, isn't it? I'm sorry if
there is actually a medical name for it.
Yeah,
that's the surgery to remove the pineal gland to sort of.
No.
I sincerely didn't mean if that was the wrong way to say it, but yeah, because I can't empathize with him, obviously, but like, he looked so uncomfortable. But 10 out of 10 for showing up and putting on a show regardless, no pun intended. I mean, it wasn't my type of show. I'd have never called him a worker, but the man got his fat ass out on international television and let an old man get right in there. For that, he deserved a bigger payday than what would have reflected on the scale at that point.
I also find it weird that he, at that moment, was the ECW champion. I know that was the C show. But again, he was holding one of the top belts in the company.
He could have wore that thing like a wristwatch.
It's Big Show being ECW champion so early on in its rebirth at this point shows how little ideas they even had for it in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely... I think, to be fair, I'm sure if you were to kind of get into the lore of it and the murmurs and stuff, I'm sure they had different plans that were ruined by something else, as it always seems to be the story. But yeah, there was guys that were a much better fit for that. I actually liked the idea of putting the belt on Chris Benoit, and him carrying that brand, before he became a child murderer and stuff. But
I think they should have used ECW as sort of like NXT before NXT, and just put in a lot of talents into like very hardcore matches. Still have your by the book singles matches every now and then, but I think it would be a greater appeal that every main event in ECW, it wouldn't be like Big Show against Bobby Lashley for the ECW title. It might have been someone like a young CM Punk and fucking. I'm trying to think if he was young then, because I don't know, fucking Carlito or something.
Josh Barnett, former UFC World Heavyweight Champion and catch wrestler / pro wrestler, he runs a promotion called Bloodsport right now, wherein essentially, if people aren't familiar, WWE are currently ripping it off with Raw Underground. I would have liked to have seen something like that.
Cammy, emulating. We use the word emulating.
Allegedly.
Emulating.
But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to. I would have liked to have seen something like that. But obviously, they would have had to have kept the pins in. It would be too non WWE to
Yeah.
not. I've not. I saw the first time they emulated Bloodsport. The first time they done Raw Underground. I wasn't impressed because it's just not as good as Bloodsport. End of. But I'm not sure if they do pins in that. But just keep it a wee bit tied to what ECW was, just something more real and more visceral,
Yeah.
and a platform for younger guys. You can't tell. I understand that the business fluctuated immensely within 10 years from 2006 to 2016. Like, from my understanding, when it came to like the independent scene, it was bare bones living. There wasn't actually as large a pool of talent as say there is now, kind of thing. And stuff, or a platform for maybe the older talent to make money and etc. But I feel like they could have given them that platform,
Yeah.
sort of thing. I loved. I'm pretty sure Shane's original idea was to have it as a web show on the WWE.
I think it was,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, with that, even when WWE went PG, Raw and SmackDown could have been the good wholesome family shows where a man gets his ass kicked, and ECW could have been more the WWE After Dark kind of thing. So maybe you put it on after the kids have gone to bed, and
Yeah.
you do have that mix of talent as well. You put the new guys in, and it's sort of a way to even like, because I know they enjoy hazing in the Fed, so even haze them a little bit. You're gonna get your TV time, but you've got to be thrown off a 20-foot ladder through 3 tables.
For
But-
the 9 people on the internet that are going to watch it.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can bring back Tommy Dreamer and the Sand. They did, but you can still do that in a
And put the young guys over.
you can give them money to retire on, sort of, providing that they as soon as that came out,
Every time someone talks about ECW alum getting to retire, I think of Old Man Sandman coming out to an indie show in a high school gym where they fucked up the
like fucking Steve
CDs.
Sunday.
And he's coming, instead of Enter the Sandman, he's coming out to the PGA theme or something like
No,
that.
it was like Ski Sunday or something. It was like quintessentially British.
I just can't, to me that's like the analogy for how all those guys' careers ended up, except from Tommy Dreamer or Van Damme.
Yeah,
To
but
be fair, there's a few of them, but
Rob,
yeah.
Rob Van Dam is living a life right now.
Yeah.
Like, kudos to that man. Like, he landed on his feet.
yeah, I would happily live Rob Van Dam's life 1,000,000 times over.
For the 92 concussions that he's had.
I'd happily take it. That guy smoked so much weed, he's probably forgotten how many concussions he's had.
He
What are you
giggled
drinking
his
as well,
way.
Lewis?
Sorry, what was that?
What are you drinking as well? It looks like
Tea.
fucking...
It's tea, but it's in like a big travel mug.
What the f...
He's trying to give off the impression that he's on the gains, but he's on the sweet
It's
tea.
like it's normal, ordinary tea, but it's in like one of those whey protein mugs.
Hold it up a sec.
This is going to make no sense to our Spotify listeners.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, look, it's just my hand. Just my hand.
For Spotify listeners, it keeps disappearing, so the Highlanders keep it. But when you lift it up, I think because with the background, it looked like there was more in it, so it looked like you were drinking like jerk marinade or something.
Oh dear.
Like you were just chugging down fucking Scotch bonnets.
But yeah, this wasn't my cup of tea. The one thing,
Yeah.
the one thing I would give it is it was the best use of a gimmicked sledgehammer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they couldn't do that more often. Maybe it only works because the Big Show's back so humongous, kind of thing. Was it him that took the hammer when it snapped?
Oh, I think they've done it with Shawn Michaels before as
Really?
well.
I
think when
it's
he first came
fantastic.
back, when the head just comes straight off.
Because at the end of the day, there's nothing that will make you flaccid quicker than when Triple H brings out that sledgehammer, to me personally, because it's one of the things that maybe tipped me off when I was sincerely one of the things that tipped me off when I was younger, that wrestling was fake, because I was like, if it was real, he would just swing the hammer straight for his noggin. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Just use, like, that's why a kendo stick's so brilliant, because you can swing it and, not it looks purposeful, but you're not going to hurt the guy. It
I
doesn't
love
break
how
kayfabe.
that was when you clocked wrestling
Yeah.
wasn't real. You like sledgehammer.
Yeah, hang on a
Why
minute.
didn't you just give him a fatal brain injury? Like, come on, man. You know, you've got a sledgehammer. Just crack his fucking head in.
Just young child Mark, me screaming at the television, going, finish him!
Yeah,
Kill him!
I love that Cameron was expecting like fucking Negan from The Walking Dead, like when he killed Glenn, just like Big Show to get his head split in two.
Just in the middle of the ring.
Why-
A man is murdered and there's no repercussions.
Why doesn't Triple H just pull a gun out from under the ring and fucking shoot the Big Show?
If you really wanted that belt, you would snap that man's neck right now.
Just what? Oh God! Oh no! You know how every time we speak about something, and they bring back like In Your House, or they bring back like Monday Nitro, or something happens as a result of this. Are we gonna see Vince McMahon going into like either using that Retribution group who are on Raw at the moment to do like a public execution, or is he gonna start making snuff films?
We got so close with the car crash. We really did. No, not the car crash, the car bombing, or the car explosion, or whatever it was.
Once again, thank you, Redacted, for spoiling that angle.
And this redacted.
Oh, no. Oh, edit.
Right, snip. Right. Trish Stratus versus Lita.
For the out in the edit, you didn't hear it. Wasn't this meant to be a retirement match as well?
Yeah, it was. And here's the thing, the lead into this match was that Lita had apparently gimmicked to the WWE website to say that Trish Stratus was leaving. And I thought two things. Number one, that's illegal. And number two, that is a very bizarre reason to have a match.
Yeah, like low-level cybercrime. Can we go off on a tangent here? Because I was thinking about this earlier, and this is sort of the era. I'm really sorry to Trish Stratus because I just said how much they shout on her retirement match. I'm now shitting on her retirement match by just completely going off, but this is because of the cyber angle. Do you think with Cyber Sunday and its subsidiary Taboo Tuesday, do you think the poll results were a work or a shoot?
They were a shoot, apparently. There was a match between Chris Jericho and Shelton Benjamin, I believe, for the IC title. And it might have been Taboo Tuesday 2004, 2005, but they actually had to tell Shelton the finish in the ring.
Okay.
As he was in. So apparently it was a shoot. However, we never know what's behind the curtains and what's not.
Was it a shoot that was a work?
It was a work shoot, work, brother. H.
Yeah. So very, very sorry about that. I was just thinking about it walking around earlier, and I thought I'd save it for when I talk to two guys who think about wrestling rather than like asking.
Or just saying the thought aloud to yourself in your flat.
I'm actually in an undisclosed location in the West Midlands right now.
Walking around your flat, just going. Do you think Taboo Tuesday was a what?
Yeah, do you think it was? Talking to the fucking cats, being like, right. So the limo blew up, and 2 weeks later he stood in the middle of the ring.
Right, you know those episodes of The Simpsons where Homer will say, like, you have my undivided attention, and then it'll just zoom into his forehead and it'll be like, meow, 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 meow.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like that.
That's it, but it's like the Taboo Tuesday results showing up in my head. Was Carlito meant to fight Roddy Piper?
Could us in the UK text that? Was that a thing?
I think in the later
could your mum wake up to a £99 mobile contract?
Because I really wanted the Highlanders to fight the Spirit Squad again.
It just says that. And then your mum just looks at you disappointedly, like, why do you even have an opinion on those two?
In 14 years' time, Mum, it'll matter a lot.
Yeah, Trish versus Lita. This was solid enough, I guess. It was the ending made no sense if she's just going to leave the company.
It was the closest thing to a wrestling match we got all night.
Yeah, true.
So I give it 5 stars.
Yeah, I just don't see how the retirement match of one of your top top female stars of all time in that company at that point, and it just felt like a piecemeal gesture. It wasn't worse than Lita's retirement, though. Let's be honest.
Because unfortunately, they weren't women at this point; they were divas.
Yeah.
Which is how, I understand that they had a good time and they were cool and whatever. I'm sure they wanted more for their careers, etc. But yeah, it's quite crazy when you think about that. I mean, I remember being such a close-minded man that the day where Lita shown, I think it was WrestleMania, wasn't it? Where she says it's no longer the Divas Championship, it's the Women's Championship. My horrible close-minded self went, fucking hell. I never even noticed. Like the entire time, I just went, "They're women." I felt horrible.
I'm sorry. Are we going to see them as people now? Are you going to pay them money?
I remember that was when, for people that don't know, there was a pool hall in this city called Stirling called Riley's, and they used to stay up till yawn time in the morning serving you greasy food, and they were one of the few places you could watch WrestleMania. And that apart from, I believe that was one of Brock Lesnar's first WrestleMania outings back, got a standing ovation, and all the while I stayed seated going, sitting there nursing a pint going, I can't. What? I felt awful.
I love how you phrased that like Brock Lesnar fought in a pool club in Stirling called Riley's.
Yeah, I also love how you've said this pool hall called Riley's like it's some sort of niche offering that only people in Stirling know about.
Well, there's probably a pool hall called Riley's in every town.
Yeah, it's a national chain.
To be like, I can remember just sitting there because it was such a long fucking evening, and this was late. I was tired, man. Like I'd worked a back shift or something, and then I just remember watching, and my brain couldn't connect the dots. And after it, I just felt like a terrible human being. It just imagine me sitting there, pint in hand, just completely gone by this point. Knackered, didn't want to be there, and then someone just reminded me that, by the way, there's another gender in wrestling. I felt awful, and to this day I sound like a terrible human being, but that is how, let's put it this way, that's how cast aside like these people.
Yeah, I think
at this point
there's a greater discussion point around it, but it was also the way you were conditioned to view female wrestlers as well. It was a case of instead of the fact that they can be legitimate competitors, as we see a lot now, a lot more as well. Like I remember that episode of NXT we watched there. A six woman. Was it a tag match or was it just a?
It was a triple threat.
Triple threat tag match.
Oh, you're talking about the
opener. Oh no, the triple threat women's title was fantastic. But yeah, back then it would be a case of all these women here are for your entertainment, for you to leer and hoot at. They'll have a match where they've got to take each other's clothes off, and we might give Trish Stratus and Lita a roll out.
Yeah, it was always treated like, when is she going to do Playboy? That was always the mentality.
It was never a case of let's try and offer just a broad church of.
There were more storylines over who got to be in Playboy than who had the fucking belt. I'm certain of that.
Yeah,
I'm certain of that.
I'm pretty sure Trish Stratus and Lita just changed the belt, and the rest of them were just fighting to be in Playboy.
The actual, now you've jogged my memory there, Cammy, the actual build-up to the Mania 21 match between Trish and Christy Hemme was Christy was in Playboy and Trish was not jealous, but for some reason it was like... There was no reasoning behind it. It was bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. I have no interest in talking about Randy Orton versus Carlito. I saw this match yesterday and I can't remember it.
When I looked at the card, I saw Randy Orton versus Carlito and just thought someone had edited it for a laugh. I know Carlito was getting a big push back then, and they did see him as a next level guy. But Randy Orton versus Carlito makes no fucking sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I never then or to this day understood Carlito.
Again, it's one of those, they just pushed him, but why?
His dad was a legend, Carlos.
Carlos Colon.
Cologne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
aye. And
But it's just one of those. He was for me a good wrestler. I enjoyed watching him, but again, it just feels like they have these fucking half-baked ideas. Been like, right, with especially in this era as well, like Umaga as well. It's like, right, we're gonna push you, we're gonna fucking put you to the moon, sonny boy. But they don't stop and think, how are we gonna do this?
yeah,
Because obviously, like wrestling, you can stack the deck, and it was just a case of, right, you're just gonna go fucking, win the belt. You're gonna pin the guy 1, 2, and 3. Indeed, yeah. And that's it. Go on, have fun. We'll see you in a year's time when you inevitably get pushed to heat. And that's it.
Was Velocity still on at this point, or had they been given the bin?
Oh God, I think so. Because I remember this is when we had Sky Sports. So again, I was a proper full-time mark. It was Raw on a Monday, ECW on a Tuesday, SmackDown on a Friday, and then you had like Heat and I think Velocity on Sky One.
Good lord. Right, let's just to get this out of the way and move on to the actual main event, which is Cena versus Edge, TLC for the world title.
First things first, 5 thumbs down for me. Nobody's head got shoved up a big man's ass. And therefore this match is completely and utterly redundant. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
So I'm gonna do something crazy and somewhat endorse the efforts of both men in the main event.
Both of them took some absolutely painful ass-looking bumps during this.
Yeah, but then I don't condone that because at the end of the day, the spectacle of the TLC never topped that of the original matches, and so it never needs to happen again, in my opinion, because all it does is shorten careers, and you'll never live up to that height.
That is a hell of a take, and I'm going to agree with you there.
Yeah.
There was no reason for this match to be a TLC.
No. See, to be fair, there was one reason, a plain one, to sell pay-per-views. Secondly, I think another reason is just to kind of polish my outlook on John. I mean, I don't need this, but to polish my outlook on John Cena, because he at this time, I don't think he needed to prove anything to the higher ups or whatever. They were already pushing him to the moon. They were trying to establish him as the man anyway. But it just shows what he was willing to do and what willing to try to gain the affection of all of us watching. And that, to me, is what will cement his legacy as one of the greatest of all time, because he's not a great wrestler. He's not even a fantastic talker. He has some of the most memorable promos of all time, but only because he was around for so long and was involved in so many sort of storylines. But just the sheer tenacity of how hard he worked to individually convince everyone in that watched WWE that he was the man. I don't see that from current roster stars.
Well, I think this speaks very highly of Cena's abilities as a babyface, because let's not kid ourselves, when he comes out, like, this is Edge's backyard. Like, Cena gets booed out of the rafters when that music hits, and by the end of the match, like, he has them in the palm of his hands.
Yeah.
He is one hell of a worker in that aspect.
I think maybe he's not a good talker, but his actual body language, I think that's what sells him over. I think it's the confidence in his movement, not necessarily as a wrestler, not necessarily as a talker. He looks convincing.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be convincing because he looks like a wrestler. He moves like a wrestler. He might, he's looking back at his promos were never that good. I think the only good promo he ever did was actually going back to talking about our favourite pay-per-view, Cyber Sunday, when he had that inexplicable wrestling match with Kevin Federline.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And I just remember a promo from one of yours and said, if it wasn't for you, I'd be spearing Britney. And that is just incredible.
Yeah.
I had forgot about kayfabe.
I'd forgotten about him as a person until Cyber Sunday just started like triggering everything loose in my mind.
I just want to say, with regards to the finish of this match, like the whole rated R spinner belt should have had a much longer shelf life. Like, that was really one of the interesting
that
things.
looked
Such a cool looking
did
belt.
anyone watch WWE 20? Is it 24? What is the thing they talk about? Untold.
Yeah, WWE Untold. That's it.
I done my homework and I watched it.
He did his homework. What a nerd.
Edge done his usual thing where he gets told an idea and he's a giddy young schoolgirl about it. He goes, yeah, okay, cool. And he ran away and he done a drawing of what he thought the rated R belt should be. And it was beautiful. It was like, it almost had the shape of the old, like the 80s Intercontinental belt, but then it was all rated R and edged up kind of thing. It looked fantastic.
I thought you were going to say, like...
To this day, he's describing the situation and then goes on to say, so I showed them this drawing and then they showed me the spinner belt. Like, to this day, he still can't get over Yeah,
Edge's reign is the rated R chap. Now, obviously, I understand that a year from now the company's going to go PG anyway, so it couldn't have lasted that long, but my God, Edge should have held that belt forever.
Oh my God, yeah. He was just so good at being a dick as well. Like, I loved to hate Edge, man. Like, I remember, I think I'd stopped watching at this point, but I remember seeing he had to retire after his Mania match, and it killed me inside that he had to retire. I wasn't watching anymore, but it just hurt so much. Edge felt like a necessary evil in my life.
That man was the GOAT heel, like maybe even of all time.
I would argue that, because every time he'd stick in your craw. But there's Edge. Oh, I hope he gets his. Oh, he's won. Oh, what a bastard! I'm glad he won. But yeah, and when he came back as well at the Royal Rumble, it was one of those, like, I hadn't watched wrestling for about 10, 12 years at that point. Fuck me, did I mark out?
There was this is going to sound completely irrelevant, but there was the thing I saw on Twitter, and it was like somebody put up there was a tweet, and it was a picture of Thanos, and it was a picture of Edge, and the caption was, "Who was the better bad guy?" And somebody obviously quote tweeted it saying, "Did Thanos fuck his girlfriend in the ring after winning the belt?" That is all you need to know.
It's the ultimate player move. It's the ultimate alpha move.
He was steady making moves during this period. Yeah. Like, he really was.
Can I point out, other than those moments of just complete like bonehead rated R-ness, like, you could tell they sat in a creative room going, what's rated R? We need to do something crazy. Other than those moments, and this is why Edge is so brilliant, he stood outside of the situation, because this was again on this show, he stood outside of the situation and just said the most brilliant thing where all of it fell into place for me. He said, I looked at John Cena, I saw what he was doing, I saw what he stood for, and then I saw that essentially what he was building himself up to be, and what the Fed were turning him into, was Hulk Hogan. He says, so I looked at that and I went, I'm going to be Roddy Piper. And at which point I thought about the way he talked, the way he walked. I thought, Jesus Christ, he played Roddy Piper almost as good, if not better, than Roddy Piper. Yeah, unbelievable. This is, to be fair, this is what you do. And was this the blowout? Was it the blowout?
I think, was this before or after SummerSlam? No, in fact, this would have been afterwards. Yeah, because it's Edge retained at SummerSlam. So yeah, this is the
blowout. So at which point, this is what you do: the big match, hot crowd because of the way it is, something different. Cena went outside his comfort zone. He's afraid of heights, apparently. Edge is very creative and clearly had kept a couple of ideas back from his last escapades into the TLC world kind of thing. It is kind of what you do. Again, I'm just not a big fan of gimmicks, but the fact that they still had things to do after how many matches there had been up to that point, I was impressed. 100%
I think
impressed.
As well, this was a very necessary. I agree with you on the TLC, but this felt very necessary.
Yeah.
As well, I think it's because after this they made TLC into a pay-per-view.
And just
as well, but that's ridiculous.
Now.
Stuff like TLC, Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chambers, they're your last resorts.
Yeah.
They're your nuclear weapons. They're not a yearly fixture. You maybe bring it out yearly, but you don't plan to bring it out yearly. You bring it as a feud ender. You bring it as the blowout match.
Which is ironic, seeing as that the Hell in the Cell in this evening felt very forced. This felt very appropriate. But at the end,
they needed it. The McMahons could have just run away. DX needed to keep them somewhere so they could really show the McMahons what.
I'll give you that, Ollie. And that logically makes sense.
Oh, I was being ironic, but yeah.
I think we've managed to get Cammy to come round on Unforgiven 2006. If nothing else than the main event.
I think that I would need to see where it ranks on par with the rest of the year for one, but it's really hard, and this is kind of what I hit upon earlier, and especially before the show, but I'll say it now, is it's really hard to criticize something that clearly worked. Because they were so on fire at this point, and it just done nothing but have a fantastic trajectory until the incident, the event, but then up until that point, they were doing everything right. I might not like it now. I certainly liked it back then. Is that me being a smark as opposed to a mark? I don't know, but I know that I just can't sit and watch that now. Is the thing. There's not enough in it for me now. There's not enough. It's just, but it clearly worked for them, so it's hard to criticize. It says more about me than it does them.
I think it's one of those, I would agree with you to a point. It's not as good as I remember it, but the good parts of it were really good. Yeah. And I think even the parts I didn't so much enjoy, like maybe I didn't enjoy Jeff Hardy against Johnny Nitro. But now with a greater appreciation of wrestling and a more mature mindset, just ignore the last hour of me talking when I say more mature mindset. But, in that sense, I'm able to look at a wrestler as a person, as who they are, as not who they were playing. It's probably not as good as I remember, and I'd actually like to... I don't know if I'm going to fall down a rabbit hole with like 2006-7 now and actually pick out my... Because was 2006 Mania 22?
Yes.
Yeah, because that was a really good Mania.
I was about to say, it's hard to criticise that one.
Oh, but I don't think I could, man. Not least, it was a very good pay-per-view, but I remember that was Undertaker against Mark Henry, where... The Undertaker just did a fucking suicide dive.
Yeah, he leaped over the casket.
No, I'm not saying that was a 5-star match, but the fact that I remember this giant of a man just gracefully flying through the air and over a casket as well. It was like watching a double-decker jump a row of motorcycles.
It was the Evel Knievel highlight of your day.
Yeah, it really was, man. But yeah,
it's the type of thing where, like, Evel Knievel was the type of thing where you got into the schoolyard the next day and say, "Did you see what he done on television last night?" And the Undertaker doing that was the exact same thing.
It was a real highlight, and yeah, mate, it probably isn't as good as I remember it back in the day because you had it on DVD, so you'd keep going back to it over and over again. But compared to some of the shite we've had to put ourselves through...
Well, this brings us to an interesting point, which is what do we do next? Because we've got a couple of avenues we go down. We could do a Cyber Sunday or a Taboo Tuesday.
Oh, God.
No. Saying Cyber Sunday doesn't mean we have to do Cyber Sunday.
Well, right. All the Cyber Sundays and Taboo Tuesdays are good apart from 2004, which no joke had the dead baby storyline. I'm not doing that. We're not going down that road.
Oh, was that...
Let's get it.
Okay, maybe you should have preloaded that one. Don't just say the dead baby storyline.
It was the dead baby storyline.
I know it was the dead baby storyline, but you just think, what the fuck did I miss in 2000?
Ollie.
A lot.
Ollie, it's not his fault.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot one more point as well. In terms of a Mount Rushmore, I would just blow the whole thing up and have a giant porcelain statue of Edge.
I thought you were about to say, Vince McMahon going deep into Big Show's teens.
Yeah, maybe that'd be like Mount Rushmore, and then on top of it, you'd have a big Edge statue.
And then I thought you were going to say, if that's Mount Rushmore, Big Shot's taint would be
No.
the Grand Canyon.
Aye. No, Edge and Lita fucking on top of the Big Show's ass. So I'm back home in Wolverhampton for the week. I'm dog sitting, and one of my dogs is just looking at me in disgust.
Where have you been?
Where have you been, and what's happened to you?
Right, yeah, because we haven't had any inklings about what we're going to watch next week, have we? Or maybe even the week after that. Who knows when we're going to record next time? Who knows what show we'll do? Let's just leave it all surprise.
Who knows what state the world?
Who knows? Who knows? The world might not even last the next.
What we
Sunday.
do next time is a mystery, and you, the viewer listener, have to tune in to find out.
That means is we're going to go into a private chat and argue relentlessly.
Yes. We suffer so you don't have to, listener. Right guys, I'm just going to respectfully bow out now. It's been a blast.
I am going to go look at pictures of the Big Show's ass. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, boys. Right, take care, lads.
All right.
Thank
Love
you.
you. Goodbye.
Bye bye.